Hey BookTube, so today I'm coming to you with my first official book haul. I was really into a book tonight and I'm doing this filming like late for me because I have to be up early with my daughter. So I'm gonna make this as fast as I can, but I was really wanting to get this out because I haven't in a while, and after I finished my book I was like, meh, let's just go for it. Let's just do it. I don't care if I don't get as much. How often do I get a lot of sleep anyway these days? Or at least the sleep that I need. I sleep at some point in my life, right? Okay. The books today that I am talking about, my first official book haul, I'm assuming this would be technically considered a book haul because there are 10 books in the stack. Wait, let me count. Yeah, 10. I have 10 books. I just wanted to make sure I was correct. So I'm guessing that definitely, because I know there are some crazy book hauls out there with people with like 20 to 25 books. But this is I feel like this is a solid number for a haul, for me at least, especially considering they're all used books. They're all lightly used. I bought them for like next to nothing, or I literally got them for nothing. Because now looking at myself in the camera, I'm realizing that I went really crazy with the under eye concealer today. Speaking of not sleeping, look alive, don't look like a zombie. Mom zombie. Okay, anyway, sorry. First two books I'm going to be talking about, I am so stoked about that I found. One of them I got for free. And they are one that I've already read and one that I haven't yet, and they're by the amazing Amy Tan that I love right now. I read The Kitchen God's Wife last month. I picked it up on impulse, and one of the best impulses I've had in a really long time. It was incredible. It was incredible, and it's always great to find a book, especially like a lightly used book, that of one that you've already read and that you love. And this particular book, the entire book is just this woman who is having a heart-to-heart with her grown daughter for the first time, confessing everything about her life before she moved to the United States. She's originally from China, and her experiences over there with her first husband, who was very, very abusive. So trigger warning, like bad domestic abuse. And then the other one that I got, it's her one that everybody talks about that is just so good. It's a used copy, and I think somebody got like glitter or nail polish on it. Just gonna, it'll be fine. Still reads the same. And it's the Joy Luck Club. And this is the one that everybody that knows Amy Tan for. So I'm really thrilled to read this one, which is kind of like her magnum opus. And put those aside. So excited. Two other books that I got. I picked up Memoirs of a Geisha because I've always wanted to read this one. I really loved the movie when I was in college. I thought it was gorgeous. And it just sounded like an interesting premise on the back. And I know it's probably going to be a really, probably a step away from the movie, just because that's always the case. I'll be talking about that in my June wrap-up, because I just read a book that was a huge step away from the film, even though the film was excellent, and this film was excellent, but it's just inevitable, people. Like, the movie is never going to be as good as the book, and even if it is, it's never going to be perfect. I also picked up The Tao of Pooh, which sounded really interesting. My degree, I majored in English and I minored in philosophy, which the department at the university that I attended, you take a lot of classes in conjunction with religion, and I took quite a few on Asian philosophy and religion, and Taoism isn't something that I covered, and this just sounded interesting, and I like learning about different faiths that are different from my own, and I'm interested to see what this is. So the Tao of Pooh, and also I'm a mom, so I see Pooh Bear, and I'm like, hi, you look familiar. Anyway, another one that I picked up was one that I saw had won the Booker Prize, and was Heat and Dust, and that is by Ruth Crower Javala. I am butchering that name mercilessly. I apologize from the bottom of my heart. But it is the winner of the Booker Prize, and I had recently just read another Booker Prize winner, The Remains of the Day, a couple months ago, and I loved it. So I was like, meh, if I liked that one, I'm guessing this one's going to be good. It's a love story that happens in India in the 1920s between a English colonial wife and a Indian prince, and a lot of revolves around, it happens in the 1920s, so a lot of it revolves around the revolutions that were occurring during that time. Sounded really, really interesting, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. I like a good love story with a little bit of political revolution in there. Next book that I picked up is a nonfiction. I do like to read nonfiction occasionally, and this one I've actually seen before and I wanted to read, and then when I saw it at the library in the freebie pile, I was like, that's the one I'm going to bring today. And it's 3 Cups of Tea by Greg Mortensen and David Oliver Ryland. And it's about a man in the 90s who helped establish some schools in Pakistan, and they were mostly for girls. And it's about his experiences and his love for the culture over there. And of course, I was suckered in the minute I read about setting up schools for little girls so they can learn to read too. And that just does me right there. So I'm really excited to read this. I'm interested to see what his experiences were. I picked up another nonfiction book. This one is called Near 1,000 Tables, A History of Food. So sign me up. Felipe Fernandez Armesto. You know what I'm talking about, because I love to cook, and this is pretty much not just a history of food, but a history of cooking, and just going through history in different cultures and how food defines us as a species and how we prepare it and the ritual of eating. And I love reading about food. I love reading about food so much. So much. So I'm really excited to read this one. I think it's going to be a good one. And I also picked up, this one was an impulse pickup because I love reading about World War II and fiction or nonfiction. I read the back of this and I was like, okay, this sounds good. It's called Motherland by William Nicholson, and it's pretty much just a love triangle in World War II, war-torn Europe, between a female ambulance driver and like 2 soldiers. It just sounded fun. It just sounded like a good one. It's a thick one. So, I mean, this will probably be sometime in autumn when my daughter starts up school again and I have a little more time in my hands because this is her last week of school, so my extra free time that I get to read is kind of coming to an end. So, we'll see. But I'm really interested to see how that one turns out. The last 2 books, one of them I know very little about. I know about the author and his other works, but I know nothing about it. It's The Return of the Native by Thomas Hardy. I know it's a classic. I know that he wrote so many other great books, and I know of those, like, you know, the biggest one that came out was Far From the Maddening Crowd, like a couple years ago with the movie. And so I'm interested to see what this one is like. It just sounds like, I don't know, it's kind of got a Bronte vibe to it. Correct me if I'm wrong if you read this, but I was really intrigued by that because I love me some Bronte sisters. So, we'll see how that one turns out. And then the last book is a total guilty pleasure. So, I'll talk about it in my June wrap-up, but I have read a couple of books, historical fictions, purely from a militaristic adventure genre standpoint. about the like the early 19th century, the early 1800s, England and different parts of the world, and what was going on with them, and tensions with France and tensions with America. And so I was like, why not pick up a cheesy romance novel in the same era? So this was a library pick too. It's called The Bar Sinister by Sheila Simonson. And I don't know, I just saw an arrogant captain on the back. Something to do with an arrogant captain, and I was like, I could read that. Okay, so I just read The Far Side of the World by Patrick O'Brien, and with Captain Jack Aubrey, I'm like, okay, I need something with an arrogant captain like Captain Jack Aubrey. I'm gonna get off this thing before I embarrass myself any farther. Have y'all read any of these? Let me know. If you read The Bar Sinister before, let me know what you think. I'm interested to hear. Alright, good night. I need to go to bed.